Let's talk a little bit about fuel injector replacement tips today. You've come to the conclusion that your vehicle needs fuel injectors, kind of like this 1999 Chevy 3500 one-ton pickup with a big block 7.4 liter. We've tested to make sure that we've got adequate compression. We've tested the ignition system, make sure that we've got adequate spark and the timing is occurring at the right moment. We came to the conclusion that we're lacking the proper amount of fuel here. Part of that also, we have to make sure that we have good B+ voltage going to the injector. We also had to make sure that the PCM, or the vehicle's computer, was commanding the injector on for the appropriate amount of time. Once we've tested all that, ensured everything was okay, we came to the conclusion that we had a faulty fuel injector. So we've removed the intake manifold, removed some of the AC system, got down to the fuel rail, and removed our fuel injectors. Now it's time to do a little bit of a failure analysis. What caused the previous ones to go bad? How do we prevent that from happening again? Well, on this particular fuel injector, as you can see here, there's a little screen on the top of it. Now the screen on 4 out of the 8 injectors on this particular truck were full of rust or debris, some type of sediment. Where did that come from? How do we prevent that from reoccurring? So, one important thing to do is either replace or flush the fuel rail as good as possible. Some of these things, there's a lot of baffles in here, a lot of tight areas, very difficult to clean. In that instance, you're going to be replacing the fuel rail. This particular one, we were able to clean pretty well, and we still had to flush the rest of the system. Some vehicles, it might be necessary to drop the fuel tank, look for further contamination there. Maybe part of the tank was coming apart, maybe you've got a lot of rust, other contamination there. Always a good idea to inspect for that. By comparison, let's take a look at a brand new fuel injector. Now it's much cleaner. You can see down in there, you can see a little bit of that inlet screen in there. This is what we want to keep it looking like this for a long time. So also, regardless, whatever vehicle you're servicing, anytime you're replacing fuel injectors, protect your investment by installing a new fuel filter. Now this is what the fuel filter looks on this 1-ton Chevy truck. This is actually mounted down in the frame rail. And so we're going to have to go down below later on to install a brand new filter. On your particular vehicle, it could be located wherever. Some of them are even in the tank. And so make sure to ask the parts store where it's located on your particular vehicle. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, always consult a professional service facility and have them do the job for you. Well, now that we've got a clean fuel system, let's talk a little bit about installing the injector in the rail and also on the vehicle. Now, we've got an O-ring on the top of the injector, which is going to seal it off at the fuel rail. We've also got an O-ring at the bottom of the injector, which is going to seal it in the intake manifold. Now, rather than fighting these things and risking cutting an O-ring or rolling it over, it's very important to lubricate these. Now, for example here, I'm using a little bit of a transmission assembly gel here. I'm going to very lightly lubricate this O-ring. Cover up just the top one now. Now you might not have some of this assembly lube. Petroleum jelly, even clean engine oil will work just as well. It's very important that we lubricate these O-rings. And now to the fuel rail, with a slight twisting motion, we're going to apply some slight pressure, and it slides in there and seals very good. We're now going to take our clip, lock it in place. We'll take our electrical connector, pop it on, make sure we get a good positive lock there. We don't want anything coming loose later on while the vehicle's running. We're going to repeat this process for all 8 injectors. Now our rail is going to be ready to install in the vehicle. Alright, well, we've now got our injectors installed in the rail. Now it's time to clean out the ports on the intake manifold. So you can see there's a little bit of debris built up on each of these. So in this instance, I've got a little specially designed brush for it. You might decide to use a pipe cleaner or whatever you have available to you. And so we simply just want to run it through here, clean it out a little bit, remove any ridges, any carbon buildup, something like that. And you can see that we've removed a lot of that. Now I just take a screwdriver with a rag wrapped around it and just very gently clean it out. Now we've got a good clean surface that our O-ring is going to seat against. Now once again, we'll do that for each injector hole, and then we're going to take our freshly lubricated injectors and we'll be able to install it in the rail. Now when it comes time to install the rail with the injectors into the manifold, it's very important to gently work these back and forth. Don't just pound on them, don't use a hammer, never force these in. Sometimes we might have to grab some of the injectors individually and rotate them very slightly in order to coax them into the hole. and apply slight pressure to it, work them evenly, all 8 of them, until it seats fully. Now we can tighten our hold down bolts properly. We can make our fuel connections, our electrical connection once again, install the upper intake manifold, and we're ready to go.